is Explainer. We are diving into what is honestly one of the human body's most astonishingly elegant systems. We're going to start way zoomed out at the macro level of your whole body, and then we're going to visually break this down, zooming all the way into the incredibly detailed microscopic chemical sorting that literally keeps you alive every single day. Let's get right into it.
But before we even look at the anatomy, let me just ask you something. Did you realize that your body meticulously balances exactly 2,600 milliliters of fluid every single day? It's totally true. Day in and day out, without you ever having to even think about it, your biological machinery is performing this completely perfect balancing act with this exact volume. So, how does it pull that off? Well, let's take a look. All right, here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll be covering 1. The body's water balance, 2. The excretory organ system, 3. Inside the human kidney, 4. Anatomy of a nephron, 5. The microscopic filtration process, and finally, 6. Chemical reabsorption and secretion. Section 1. The body's water balance. Okay, let's break down that 2,600 milliliter magic number. If you look at the left side there, the intake side, you might think you just drink 2.6 liters of water outright, but we actually take in about 1,450 milliliters from actively drinking fluids. Another 800 milliliters comes kind of hidden inside the solid food we eat. And this is the really fascinating part. 350 milliliters is actually manufactured internally by your own cells during cellular respiration. It's literally water created as a byproduct of making energy. So that equals 2,600 milliliters of input. Now follow those arrows over to the right side, the output. To maintain perfect equilibrium, exactly 2,600 milliliters has to leave. We lose a tiny bit through tears, about 400 milliliters as water vapor from our lungs when we exhale, 600 milliliters evaporating as sweat through our skin, and 100 milliliters in feces. The remaining lion's share, which is 1,500 milliliters, is expelled as urine. It's just an absolutely impeccable daily ledger. So, looking at that incredibly precise ledger, it really begs a massive question, right? Where does the ultimate filtration and calculation actually happen to ensure that those 1,500 milliliters of urine perfectly offset the rest of your body's fluid dynamics? Which brings us to Section 2, the excretory organ system. Here we have a great visual of the macro anatomy of your excretory system. Guide your eyes right to the center of the diagram. You'll see the right and left kidneys. And notice how the left kidney is positioned just a little bit higher and is slightly larger in this typical anatomical view. Perched right on top of them, looking kind of like little yellow hats, are the adrenal or suprarenal glands. You can also see the massive plumbing attached directly to them. There's the red renal artery bringing unfiltered, oxygenated blood straight from the dorsal aorta, and the blue renal vein taking that freshly filtered blood right back to the vena cava. Once the kidneys have actually done their job, the waste fluid travels down those two really long tubes called ureters, pooling securely down in the muscular urinary bladder at the bottom, before eventually, exiting the body. Moving on to Section 3, inside the human kidney. Now, the kidney isn't just some uniform sponge. It actually has very distinct, highly organized layers. On the very outside, you've got this tough, fibrous renal capsule protecting the whole thing. Just inside that is the outer layer, which we call the renal cortex. But the most striking visual feature is what's deeper inside the renal medulla. See those striped, fan-shaped structures? Those are the renal pyramids. Millions of tiny tubes are channeling fluid right through these pyramids. The filtered waste funnels down through the tips into the minor and major calyces, which essentially act like little collection cups. These cups then merge into the large central basin called the renal pelvis. You can spot that right at the center, which finally drains the fluid out into the ureter. It's a literal masterpiece of biological engineering designed entirely to funnel microscopic droplets into one single stream. Section 4. Anatomy of a nephron. Okay, this right here is the very starting point of filtration, the renal corpuscle, basically the head of the nephron. Notice that red tube coming in at the top? That's the afferent arteriole, bringing blood in. It instantly tangles into this super tight, high-pressure ball of capillaries called the glomerulus. Because the exiting vessel, the efferent arteriole, is narrower, it creates immense pressure inside that capillary knot. I mean, this pressure literally squeezes water, sugars, salts, and waste right out of the blood. But obviously, we can't just let that fluid escape into the body. That's exactly why you see this beautiful cup-like structure surrounding the capillaries. This is Bowman's capsule. It catches all that squeezed-out fluid, which we now call filtrate, and channels it straight down into the renal tubules at the bottom of the diagram. Section 5. The microscopic filtration process. We've got two really vital perspectives side by side here. On the left, we're seeing the true anatomical look of the nephron. It's this wild, twisted maze completely intertwined with blue and red capillary networks. On the right, we have a straightened out schematic so we can actually visually trace the flow. Follow that path on the right for a second. From Bowman's capsule, the fluid enters the proximal convoluted tubule. Then it takes this massive dive down and back up. That long hairpin turn, that's the famous loop of Henle. After coming back up, it enters the distal convoluted tubule, and finally empties into the main vertical pipe, the collecting duct. As the fluid travels this entire path, those twisted blood vessels you see over on the left are busily reabsorbing all the good stuff back into your body while leaving the waste inside the tube.
And our final stop, Section 6, chemical reabsorption and secretion. Now, this dense data matrix might look a bit intimidating, but this is exactly where the crucial balancing act happens. Notice what the cells lining the nephron are absorbing back into the blood versus what they're actively secreting into the waste. Just look at the proximal tubule row. This thing is the absolute workhorse. Here, the body actively reabsorbs 100% of your glucose and amino acids, because, you definitely don't want to pee out your valuable food energy. It also pulls back massive amounts of sodium, chloride, and water. As we move down to the loop of Henle, it's mostly about absorbing water and salt to concentrate that urine. But then look over at the distal tubule and collecting duct. Here, the body is fine-tuning everything. Depending on what you ate or drink today, your body will actively secrete hydrogen ions, potassium ions, and ammonia right into the tube. This is exactly how your body controls your blood's pH and prevents dangerous potassium buildup. It's just precise molecular sorting happening at a totally staggering scale.
Seriously, what an incredible journey we just took. We started with just a simple sip of water, a really basic input on a ledger. But by visually zooming in, we revealed the truly magnificent efficiency of biological filtration. We saw an entire organ system beautifully designed to channel fluid down into million-unit strong filters called nephrons. Nephrons that utilize immense pressure to squeeze out fluid and then carefully, meticulously sort through it, molecule by molecule, ion by ion, millions of times a second. It reclaims the sugar, it balances the salts, it dumps the acid, and it expels exactly the right amount of water to keep your daily total perfectly balanced at 2,600 milliliters.
Which leaves us with one final, pretty important thought. If our kidneys are operating this delicate, high-pressure, microscopic machinery every single second of our lives just to maintain this perfect balance, how might our daily lifestyle